When I first began teaching, I did what most teachers did. I taught my students the way I was taught at their age. I developed lecture upon lecture and delivered them in the style I was most accustomed to, me writing the notes line by line on the board, students listening and feverishly taking notes. For about the first 3 years of teaching, I grew weary as students began to tune out. Some fell asleep, drifted off into a gaze. When I asked students, very few of them took part in answering or even discussing questions. At the least, my lectures were very dry. I reflected on the days when I sat in their seat, how I grew bored with my teachers as they droned on and on about concepts that were so foreign to me. The passive role I took on as a student meant that very little of what the teacher talked about was absorbed or retained. After a few years of teaching this way, I began to introduce more technology in my classroom. Some of my fellow teachers thought it was a waste of time to do what I was doing. Other teachers thought I was crazy. I started with a projector and converted my lectures into PowerPoint presentations. More students paid attention as I introduced more video and audio content. I was excited by the response. I quickly realized that what had been missing was student engagement. This new technology allowed them to engage with the content at a new level. But I wasn't finished yet. Not satisfied, I soon introduced a student response system. This tool alone caused student participation to jump to 100%. As I looked across the room, every student was involved and taking part, from the most outspoken child to the quietest introvert. This was greater than any expectation I had, and it intrigued me. So I asked the question, how can I use technology to draw them in more? A year later, I wrote a grant for a smartboard. I was told that foundation grants in our district weren't for technology, but I didn't give up, and someone liked the way my grant was written and found money that was available to fund the board. Once I became comfortable with it, the board and the software that came with it allowed students to engage with subject matter on a greater level. Their interest was at an all-time high compared with years past, and they came to class fueled with more questions. After this, the district opened foundation grant dollars to purchase interactive whiteboards and other classroom technologies. A shift had occurred for the better, and now our students were given greater access to interactive learning materials, access to learning management systems, and tools for discussion. This was 6 years ago. Today, technology has increased to provide much greater opportunities for learning. This year, I will begin a monthly lunchtime chat to help teachers become comfortable with new technologies in the classroom. My fellow faculty members now realize that new technologies have created an environment to make learning more mobile. My students will take part in virtual learning platforms that put them in touch with students from around the world. Geographic boundaries to learning have dropped, and kids are extending their learning as they find educational opportunities beyond the limits of the school day. What new technology waits around the corner? How will students be learning 10 years from now? Who knows? But whatever waits, I will take the initiative. You can do it too. Think outside the box. Flip your classroom upside down.